Oh shit, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing out there? This is Intergalactic Interviews, and this is episode 114?
15.
No.
Is it?
It's 114.
You always know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I actually don't know. Is it 114? Let's just say it's 114. If it's 115, follow along, kids. We'll be okay.
It's going to be all right.
Yeah. Saavedra, please. I wish you knew what the episode was. I had a lot of high hopes in my own head, but I'm an idiot.
I told you what I thought it was.
Yeah, and I was way wrong.
All
I
right.
was.
All right.
Well, it's going to be like episode 122 or something like that. It's going to be even worse. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing out there? Thank you very much for tuning in this week. We have a great episode on hand for you. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't let you know about an amazing opportunity right now that's taking place here in the Lower Mainland in British Columbia, as well in Alberta right now, and that is isolation float tank experiences. And the best premier isolation float tank experience in those areas is indeed Floathouse. Please go to floathouse.ca. Saavedra, what is that website?
That would be floathouse.ca.
God damn right, it's floathouse.ca. The thing I like the most about Floathouse is that it's a super clean facility. It's very, very educational. The people inside are very, very smart. They know exactly what they're doing, and they can help you go ahead and reach your goals. And it's just a relaxing environment. It's so calm. It's very peaceful. The tranquility of this place will seriously just get you addicted. It's very nice. And it's so clean. You get your own private tank, private shower. You get house coats, towels. It's awesome. It's like a spa for your mind. You guys, if you want to take advantage of this excellent offer right now, what is the podcast promo code they can use for their next float, Saavedra?
That would be II Podcast.
And that gets you 20% off your next float. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this and you want to check out float houses, there's so many number of resources online that you can check out. Even our guest today could probably tell you a lot about it.
Love it.
But I have to tell you, it's seriously changed my life. It's changed people's lives, and you'll definitely experience it. Just try it once, see if you like it. It's
we're sure you will.
Yeah, we float. You should float. Let's all float. Let's do it up. It's floathouse.ca, and that podcast promo code one more time.
II Podcast.
God damn right. Ladies and gentlemen, to my immediate right, I have my co-host, as always, Michael Saavedra.
Hello.
Sir. And I also have Chris Martin on the boards. Man, he's looking extra carnivorous today. A C-Mart.
I need to shave later.
Yeah, you're doing.
When I get home, I'm going to shave right away.
For C-Mart to need to shave, you need to know that's wild man status right there. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today, he's a fantastic author. He's the co-author of a new book that's about to come out very soon, and we'll confirm those release dates here in just one moment. But the title of the book is Shamanic Graffiti, and our actually, on top of that, our guest has so many slashes to the titles of the jobs that he can possibly
So many
do.
things.
He's such a professional in so many ways.
Jack of all trades, masturbator number one.
Let's just get down to it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Marcus Rummery. How you doing,
Hello.
sir?
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in today.
Great, thanks.
Look at this book in the background here. Do we get a shot of that there? You see
Yep,
that book back
we're
there?
good.
And I'll hold up the cover here next time the camera comes to me. Oh, right here. Boom. Look at this.
Check that
Awesome.
out.
And
Looks good.
Marcus comes in here and drops off copies of his book for us. How amazing is that? That's pretty cool. I'm going to definitely go cover to cover on this bad boy.
Nice.
Probably tonight. We just some time to make take care of it.
I'd be impressed if you can read the whole thing tonight.
I almost think that's probably like chugging a good bottle of wine. That's probably not a good idea, right? Like you want to like savor it, right? You wanna,
Process it a little bit. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'll go right down to the acid. Oh, you should probably talk a little bit about the content a little bit here. Oh, see it. Say it, acid
I can't
once,
even read
cops
that
show
fast,
up.
though.
Yeah, that's funny. Cops show up immediately as soon as we say anything about this book. No, the reality though is why don't you tell us real quick summary? What is this book about? What is
Well, the subtitle is 100,000 Years of Drugs, 100 Years of Prohibition. And it's a kind of an alternative history and system of the brain using people like Timothy Leary and Stanislav Grof and Terence McKenna. And it's also about shamanism, which are specialists in hunter-gatherer societies that are using to alter states of consciousness to help people in their tribe heal from various diseases and to charm game and to know what the enemy's up to find lost objects. They're specialists. And
the question on the back of the book jacket says, could psychedelic psilocybin be the catalyst? That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, that's Terence McKenna's idea, the stoned ape theory.
Right. Now, maybe you could just enlighten our audience
Sure.
real quick. Like, some of us are familiar with it already, but go ahead if you can.
Well, the human brain and body were more or less anatomically modern 250,000 years ago, but we were living quite different. They had fire, but wasn't Shakespeare, and then about 30,000 years ago, you start to see cave paintings appear and writing of different kinds and symbols and counting and
like, where did that culture come from?
Where did that come from? What was the trigger? And McKenna suggests that it's psilocybin mushrooms that were left in Africa as the Ice Age receded. And they started to eat them because it enhances visual acuity. And he has experiments that he cites that show that.
So people at home that are wondering, psilocybin, keep hearing that word. That is like the stuff in, magic mushrooms, quote unquote. That's the stuff that makes you have hallucinogenic trips, essentially, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
the stuff. Exactly that stuff.
It's good stuff. It's great.
Well, it can test you. It may have an agenda.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, it can take you to some dark places as well.
Yeah.
Shamanism is not all.
So he believed that the theory, Terence McKenna's theory, the stoned ape theory, is that these mushrooms, after the glaciers had melted away, that these mushrooms grew out of like animal dung,
Yep.
right? And the ancestors of us, primates or otherwise, ate these mushrooms, experienced these like phenomenal journeys.
Well, at first it was just to help them hunt because it enhances visual acuity.
It does actually, yeah. Colors become sharper.
And just your ability to detect something in a distant field of vision would be enhanced. So that,
Like a hunting herb.
yeah, a hunting
Okay.
herb, sure.
I see. Okay.
And this is his argument. There's no real actual archaeological evidence of this at all, right? This
Yeah.
is speculation. Something happened. The alternative theory is that the throwing arm, that evolution in the brain becoming so advanced, kind of spilled into everything else and created.
What's this throwing arm theory?
Well, the throwing arm, because in order to hunt prey, humans evolved to be really good at that.
Right, because we don't have claws or like sharp
Yeah,
teeth.
that's how we've hunt.
Right.
And you can hunt from a distance, and you can do it as a team and stuff like that.
I
So
see, yeah.
that's another hypothesis.
Okay.
It certainly doesn't lend itself to mysticism directly of throwing a ball. It is satisfying though when you hit a basket.
Yeah. When did you? Do you recall when you first came across some of these theories, like some of these writings from like Terence?
The first time I read about Terence McKenna, I thought that's the stupidest thing I've ever read in my life. This guy is saying mushrooms are responsible for human consciousness and
Yeah.
culture. It's ridiculous. Some hippie.
It sounds crazy, but then if you start to just kind of maybe examine it line for line, it doesn't seem as implausible.
I hadn't taken them yet when I thought that. Right?
Oh, I see. Okay. So this is pre-experiencing. Okay.
Yeah, I was just a kid. It was easy to dismiss it when you haven't experienced it, and
I
that's
see,
usually
okay.
how it works.
I see. I came from a small town, and if I wanted to say experiment with magic mushrooms, any kind of shrooms or anything like that, I had to order sometimes up to like 90 days in advance, and then the amount that would show up or what I ordered might not even be the same thing. You just had to take what you could get. So it was a very like rare thing, like maybe on like May-long camping trip or something. Like once a year I get to do it. Then I moved to Vancouver, and within like a day or two, someone told me that you could just buy them over the counter at that time, and I was so blown away by this, and I changed my life, man. I completely, reformatted my hard drive basically.
That's a good way to describe it.
I was like, yeah, I need a clean boot. This is like I came from this like very conservative kind of place, and it's I came out here, and now I can't believe it's like a different person. I look back to it, and I did them pretty consistently for a little while, and one day I was like, okay, I'm at where I need to be, and I don't have to do them anymore, and I'm good. But last time I did them was at Metallica concert.
Oh, wow.
A couple years ago.
That's not recommended.
It wasn't planned. I was just like, hey, I'm here, and someone was like, hey, you want so? It was awesome though. It was good. It was a good time. Yeah.
Good.
But yeah, tell me.
You say you bought them over the counter?
I did buy them over the counter here. There was a place. I don't want to out them because they might still be doing real business.
Shoppers Drug Mart.
Shoppers Drug London
Rexall,
Drugs.
Rexall.
Yeah.
Go to Rexall.
Yeah, I went to a 7-Eleven, and the process was they actually had a strange like gray area way of doing it. So you walk into the store, and it's like little shop of horrors kind of, and then there's all these different things on the shelves and whatever. But you walk around, and I just said, "Hey, can I buy can I buy mushrooms?" I'm like 20, trying to act tough. "Hey, can I buy mushrooms?" And the guy's like, he just like puts his finger to his lips, and I was like, "Oh man, I fucked up." He's not
already
gonna sell it to
fucking
me.
up.
Yeah, I was only, and by the way, I'd only been there I've only been in the city like for 3-4 days at this point. So I was like, I fucked up already. And he pulls out this like tome, just thumps down on the table, boom, flips open the book, and then he just gestures to me like, "Go ahead."
Wow.
Go ahead. And so I start flipping through the book, and it's just like 100 different kinds of mushrooms. I'm just like going through like all these different stuff, and he's whatever you point to, he hands me a little like a doggy bag kind of thing, like a little paper bag, and that was it.
Wow.
There's no words exchanged other than like, "Here's the money," and I pointed to a picture. So I guess maybe that's their.
It sounds terrifying.
Now I mean
It really does.
There's
I'm
a lot of
couple years
mushrooms
older.
that will kill you right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, I mean, here I am.
Hope you
just
put it in the
Staring
right
at
one.
you, he's like, "Good luck, Ontario."
I picked one. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. I heard you're from a small town. I'm sure this is going to work out. I actually had I do what I do when I don't have Saavedra around with craft beers, and I don't know what to pick. I just picked the hardcore sounding name one. It's like, I'm like, this, what is this, Imperial Russian Stout? Okay, I'll have that one.
Mind eraser.
Yeah, what's this? The Backhand of God? Okay, cool. You're like, I take
Like,
these
that's
like names.
12%. It's not going to be great.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to end bad.
He's like, you don't want to just jump into that. And I was like, okay, fine. But then I ended up like just, pointing to some crazy like Blue Diablo or some shit like that. And I don't know what the fuck it was called. I can't remember.
I hope it was Blue Diablo.
It probably could have
That's
been.
a great name. You should be in the branding.
Blue Diablo. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in a new line of work. That's good.
Naming
so
drugs.
But yeah, it was it was great. I just went back and I kept pointing to the same thing, and it was awesome.
Very cool.
That's it.
I never had any experiences that slick for getting mushrooms.
What were yours like? Yours were like
Much more
I know,
underground and
yeah.
Some dude
seedy.
just like, "Here's a bag."
Yeah.
of mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Yeah,
Great.
but they do talk to you.
Yeah, he's like, you have to beat me in Halo twice for me to trust you.
No,
What?
this is long before Halo that I started.
Jesus.
With that.
Yeah. Well, what have you found? Since you've been co-authoring this book, what have you found the reaction to be with people? Because right now we're all having pretty liberal discussion about this, but there are going to be people out there that just don't understand. They don't understand the experimental vibe of it. They don't understand the maverick nature of it.
The Taliban usually stay in their caves. They're not going to. But
They
most
won't
people
chase you down.
Well, the 100,000 years of drugs, 100 years of prohibition tagline is great when you're trying to get it published, but when you're trying to sell it in a yoga studio, it's a little bit overly edgy, perhaps. But
Yeah.
But the guy that published it, TrineDay, does a lot of conspiracy theory books. So,
okay.
So I think that really appealed to him.
So you're in good company then.
Yes.
It's okay.
Well, there's a guy, Chris Bennett. There's an ad up there for Urban Shaman.
Where out front in the
foyer
in the
there.
lobby, yeah.
He's actually it was him who recommended that I ask this guy,
really
because he's published a lot of books on cannabis and Soma.
friend of the show, Marcus Rummery, who's making other friends of the show very useful. You mentioned something about it being difficult to maybe sell in like a yoga studio. You're an instructor. You're like a yogi.
I am a yogi. I've invented my own yoga.
What?
Hot prana.
Okay, we have to jump into this.
Okay.
What hot
prana.
prana?
Yeah.
Not piranha.
No, that's the name of my struggling 70s funk band that didn't quite pan out. We had some fun, but hot prana is the yoga.
Hot prana. Now, how do you spell prana?
Prana.
Prana. Okay. Why is that the word?
It's Sanskrit for life force, like chi or ki
Okay.
in Japanese.
Okay.
And then it's hot yoga. So that's
When did you develop this?
a couple of years ago. I've actually at first I call it Excalibur, but women didn't like that name. It's a little too masculine.
Makes sense.
Come to Excalibur Yoga.
It's a weird movie too.
What was that like that they like hand you a note after class? This is just a little aggressive.
No, I'd just be hanging out with my.
It's kind of
my
phallic,
girlfriends, and I'd be
Excalibur.
like, this is Excalibur. We're gonna do abs now. And they're like, this is too masculine.
Like, Jesus. And so you called it prana.
Hot prana.
Yeah, hot
That's
prana.
That tests better with the.
Yeah, you
What
know
is that?
30
How
to
does that
60.
differ from just regular, like the Bikram?
Yeah.
Well,
question.
the deficits in Bikram are hip openers, power flow, like down dog based kind of yoga, and then strengthening, upper body strengthening.
Okay.
So I've just filled in the blanks, added music, poetry, play a hand drum at the end for the breathing exercise.
Damn, that's versatile. So you do that all.
Yep.
You don't have to have someone sit in there with a drum waiting for his moment.
No, but it's the breathing. It's like, so
shit.
it's not very challenging.
I'm trying. By the way, I'm trying to talk about yoga. Like I am
we've
so
done
yeah.
yoga.
Like any of us here,
Like we're like, yeah, we're aware.
I've done yoga
Very
once.
aware.
like we were just talking off air though. Like my fiance had just tried hot yoga at the studio you teach at.
Yeah.
And this is before I even knew you taught there. So and this was like her first classes, and she was like,
synchronicity.
yeah, she was like, oh, it's so crazy. And then I thought, yeah, you're like the synchronistic vibe of the fact that you're coming on the show.
It's cool.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah. I don't wanna-
Unfortunately, the last class almost killed her, so she's not coming back.
Yeah, she was like, it's a little tough, but she was actually a pretty good trooper at the end of it. She ended up saying she'd go back.
Well, if you could walk in your first time and just crush it, chances are it wouldn't really do that much for you in the long term. It's too easy.
Hey, I'm gonna rewind that for her and let her listen to that. She was like, it was pretty difficult. I was like, that means it's working. Right?
If it wasn't for that, I
Yeah.
couldn't have written this because I wouldn't have had the discipline to sit there day after day. And year
Really?
after year. Yeah, for sure.
So your yoga, your creation, your yogi career actually led to you to be able to capable skills of actually authoring this book, co-authoring.
Yep.
We should probably bring this up. I keep saying it's co-authored. Your co-author is named Frank Ogden.
Yep.
How did you meet Frank?
I made a documentary about him for a course I was taking at Langara.
Okay.
And he lived in a boat, in a boat shaped like a whale. His electronic cottage. He after his
What kind of whale?
a beluga, blue
Okay.
whale.
Okay.
And after his career as an LSD therapist, he became a futurist called Dr. Tomorrow.
Dr. Tomorrow.
Yeah. And he actually had one of the first 200 websites in the world in 1992.
One of the first websites.
Yeah.
So he
still up, drtomorrow.com.
he paid Al Gore
Don't
to get on the
don't
internet.
don't.
Fact. No,
And
it's
he
not
wrote
fact.
a very successful book in 1994 called The Last Book You'll Ever Read, which sold 25,000 copies.
Jesus.
Hopefully it's the second and last book. Yeah, people.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. You're like, hey, thanks for ruining this for the rest of us. Yeah, he's like, well, it's a pretty good book,
Well, I thought it'd be easy. I'm like, he's already published a book. I'll just call that guy and let's do another one. And of course, that company has been swallowed up by another publisher.
Oh,
And
God.
They've retired that imprint now.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. It had no benefit to me whatsoever.
Where's Frank from then?
He was born in the States. He served in the Air Force, and then he had a company selling light airplanes. He actually set the light airplane altitude record in 1953.
Hold on. So post World War II,
Yeah.
this guy is designing.
Well, not designing, but he sold. I think it was Vendair was the company. It was like a commercial airline, not commercial, but private. Like he just had like a little Cessna.
Still, he's like talking people into buying airplanes post war. That's pretty.
That's impressive
Pretty impressive.
salesmanship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he was an entrepreneur. He was a hustler for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He's passed away now, though.
Yeah,
right?
unfortunately, he died a few years ago. He was 91.
91.
Yeah.
Wow. My
And he,
goodness.
right to the bitter end, he was helping me to sell this book. He would have been right here.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Could have wheeled him out here. He would have been
91.
feisty. Yeah.
That's a very full life. That's
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
very full life, and it sounds like he's had quite a
Quite the life.
fulfilling life, right?
Yeah.
You're in a unique position that you actually did a documentary on him prior
Mm-hmm.
to this, right? What would you say is one of the most compelling characteristics that he had?
Fearlessness. He was like, you should go to the Middle East and talk to them about psychedelics. He says, don't worry if they throw a grenade at you. Usually they don't go off.
What?
What an odd thing to
What
say.
That's like fearlessness times 10. Because
Yeah.
he's like, yeah,
It is
it
fearless.
doesn't matter the danger you're in. It's like-
he had gone to Haiti and studied voodoo.
wow.
And he got dengue fever. So
what does that affect?
I think everything. I think the voodoo
Not a
priest
good
said
one.
that
Not a good one.
it's not a good one. He said nothing will touch you again after this. So when SARS came out, he volunteered to go to Toronto to speak to the doctors because he said, I've already had dengue fever. So
That's crazy.
fearlessness. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Okay, I don't. Did I ask this already? But before you met him, how did you hear?
I heard about him
yeah.
because there was a story in the Georgia Straight about Hollywood Hospital. That's the first time I heard about it.
Okay.
And I was already interested in psychedelics.
So you were just like kind of tracking down.
Yeah, well,
Figures.
this guy is. I had to do something for this film, so I knew about this guy. He's interesting. He's local, so I.
Was he already living on the Beluga boat?
He was living on the Beluga boat. Yeah,
That is
electronic cottage.
Did that get explained? Why he had a Beluga boat?
Not really. That's just where he wanted to live. It was just he was eccentric and.
I want to live on a boat, but I want it to be specifically Beluga based.
Well, I think it was designed
Mammal-shaped.
so that
Yes.
it could withstand storms, and it was like teched out and engineered that way.
Okay, so this is the guy who sells airplanes. So he's clearly like, okay, I want a fucking Beluga. Get on it. That's funny. Let me ask you this. Your background is so versatile. You're a musician. Like we've already mentioned, you're an author. Your book's coming out. What is your main focus right now? Like going in now that the book's complete, you're gonna promo the book, and is that my understanding?
Yeah. I'm going to promote the book. I'm writing another one, Shamanic Enneagram.
Okay, so we have shamanic graffiti.
Yep. Shamanic Enneagram, and then Shamanic Revolution, the Shamanic Future Trilogy.
You just keep leveling up the difficulty of your titles for interviewers to say, and eventually I'll just be like, "Fuck, I don't know, Marcus."
You can say it any way you want.
You intro it. What did you say?
Shamanic Enneagram. Enneagram. This is an Enneagram here.
What's this here? Do you have this on camera?
Yeah.
This is on camera here.
An Enneagram.
Oh,
is
I see. It's
is
kinda-
a 9-sided diagram.
Okay. It looks like
It's a personality system.
like a Venn kind of,
Yeah,
like
kinda
a
like
Venn
that.
diagram-ish. Yeah.
Christians think it's a pentagram, so they give me a wide berth when they're crossing.
It's a little
the ocean.
pentagrammic.
You just say,
It is, yeah.
it's a star, David, and you're
Well, at first I felt really badly about it, but now I'm starting to enjoy
you're just
it.
part of the tribe. It's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
I'm not evil. It's just a design.
What does that symbol represent? then?
It's a personality system, and there's 9 personalities, and so I've taken this and adapted it into 9 tasks that you do every day. So that's my.
Okay.
Then I've got an app, and you record this.
Really? Like
Yeah.
a companion app?
Yeah.
That'll come out with that?
Yep.
Man, that's very smart. That's very intelligent. I like the idea. Okay, I'm putting it all together right now. So you have classes every week.
Yep.
You're doing these classes every week, and you have these people that come in, open mind. You're like,
Some of them.
you're unlocking their energy, and then right when they're like packing up their bag, you're also like, hey, I am crushing it here. I want you to know about this this particular piece of, and then you show your tattoo. You really, and then, I like. Okay, I see what's going on now, Marcus.
Homo promotus.
Yeah, I got I got a pretty good idea what's happening now. This is a good move, but the companion app, that's really smart. That's very smart because a lot of people right now, they're either like, they shy away from hardcover completely, paperback or otherwise, and they're on their Kindles and stuff like that. Like, do you have a Kindle, Mike?
Yeah,
You have a Kindle?
I do.
I used to use like the Kindle app on my phone.
Okay.
Like for what? Like I just use my phone, but like those when you see like, oh, they hold 10,000 books or something like that. I mean, I'm sure I sound like a guy talking about an iPod in 2005 right now. But it's like, hey, you could get your whole collection on it. It's amazing. You don't even know. It's just stupid. But like the idea behind the app though, I think that's really smart because then it's like what do they call that now in like sports, like
Second screen.
second screen? That's it. Yeah.
Well, you got to kind of systematize and gamify life. So
Yeah.
you're
Gamify life.
you have a score, and then you're trying to beat your score. And I find it works for me.
That's good. Do you
And
use
I was a mess, so if it works for me,
do you use like Fitbit? Are you one of those guys?
no,
Do you use-
no.
do you use one of
I
those?
have had people with the heart rate monitors in the class to kind of see if I'm going to kill anybody,
Oh,
and not so far.
0
Well, that's
fatalities.
yeah. Hold on. Is there a chance of that? Like, I didn't.
No. But I just wanted to make sure that none of the stuff that I was adding was pushing the heart any harder than the stuff that was already there, and it's not. So
Because that's pretty unique. That like sometimes I guess again talking about yoga, like I know,
Yep.
like because I guess you could be in a yoga class and learning from a yogi and like having them lead you through a class, but it's not like you actually made this particular type program, right?
But it's based on Bikram, and I've taken. I mean, there's some Pilates in there. I think that the Bikram's contribution is
Yeah.
far bigger than mine.
You've been how long have you been like an instructor, like certified? Like
15 years.
15 years. So
Yeah.
like you were doing it before it was cool.
Yeah, when I started, there was one studio. Now there's got to be like 300 or 400 of them.
Proliferation like crazy.
Now
right?
it's like past cool. It's post.
You were doing it. You were doing it before Carrie Bradshaw made it cool. That was basically it. That's pretty okay.
Well, he had a like George Clooney and Madonna and quite a
that-
few celebrity endorsers.
That's true.
That's handy.
Yeah.
That'll come in handy.
But
Super
his
handy.
thing was to kind of taunt starlets and stuff and kind of take the piss out of them. So he wouldn't let Madonna have her own class. He's like, no, you just come to the class like everybody else. And George Clooney's too. And he said he was a brilliant at marketing that way.
That's crazy.
He's a bad boy.
I think you're good at marketing. I think the idea that you're already thinking ahead to the next book is really smart. It's really intelligent. There's this kind of like there's this weird hypocrisy in America where there's like this selling, like everyone is supposed to be ambitious and everyone is supposed to like do the best they can to improve their lives and all that stuff. But then people do that exact action. And almost immediately, most people's reaction is to either like dismiss them or make fun of them. It's very hypocritical in that way. But like you're very ambitious, clearly, and you're doing what you want to do.
Yep.
And you already have this next thing planned out. I don't know. Do you find that like the kind of
People, you gotta have a soft touch. You don't want to be too heavy with it all. I haven't got that down yet. It's pretty much like a machine gun.
Do you get angry? I'm trying to imagine you not getting that.
I do sometimes when I'm teaching and I get frustrated with people.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're like.
But it's funny.
But it's from a place of like teaching. Like you want them to do better than. Yeah. So it's not like you're.
Hopefully. I have my moments.
Yeah. Trying to set this up in a way like you're not like an aggressive guy. It's like no, he's
Not
he's a
generally.
yogi first of all. No. Yeah.
But the Bikram thing, there's a sense of humor to it. It's the kind of the punk rock of yoga, and as hot yoga proliferates, I feel like it's getting watered down, and it's losing that sense of humor, and it's losing that edge, and it's losing the struggle, which is for me the way I got the discipline was through the struggle. If you make it too easy,
Why is it losing its edge?
because it just makes it more marketable if it's easier.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the difficulty has been like
Yeah,
watered
not as
down.
hot, not as humid, different poses. Different ways, and just the whole style of it is.
What's the temperature of like the hottest room in hot yoga?
So the scientific test of Bikram use a 40.6 Celsius and a 40% humidity, which is a 52 humidex. Yeah, it gets technical when people ask me about that. I'm like, well, I'm glad you're sitting
Jesus.
down. I can talk about this for hours. And it's
40
very boring,
degrees
but anyway.
Celsius. That small town I
40%.
mentioned earlier, that's like those summers can get pretty hot like
Dude,
that.
we sweat when it's like 20 out.
Yeah,
Like,
Saavedra and I are not good in the heat at all.
I'm a natural sweater. I was hoping that the Olympics would take, because they're taking yoga, I was hoping they would get sweating in there and you just sit in a turtle pool and measure the output.
That's right, yeah.
Because I'm good.
They're like, oh,
I'm a
like,
good sweater.
and another Anglo-Canadian just taking the lead. Amazing, just amazing. What do you think it is? Your Northern European heritage? Just what do you think it is? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, either that or it's a heat rash because I'm not really genetically programmed for these conditions. Northern Scottish kind of.
That's funny. Yeah, I've been noticing. I get like just where the sun is exposed, I get like sun rashes now for like a week. Everyone's like, "Oh, you got burned, hey?" No, just got terrible skin. Don't know what's going on. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm not a good tanner.
Really, you seem like you would be
Kind of a pinkish hue on a good day by September, and then that's it.
But you've been inside writing a book. Where did you write most of it? Inside?
I wrote it all inside, yeah. But I came up with a program where I use my 90-minute yoga template as a 90-minute creativity workshop, and
that's smart.
that's how I wrote it. And I couldn't have done it without developing that discipline. You have the ideas, but to sit there, grind it out.
Executing your ideas is such an admirable trait. A lot of ideas die on the vine.
No, I'm sure the best books and jokes and songs and everything are long forgotten.
They get locked in these people that they just they don't execute beyond the idea. They think about it. Maybe they get as far as like talking about it. They'll talk to someone about it, and then it just dies. You know, like.
Well, I like the one notion that like, if you talk about your plans, like you're probably less likely to do them because you get a certain satisfaction
Right.
from talking about it, and it feels like you've made progress towards that, even though you haven't done anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a good, because there's you're right, that satisfaction that comes, it's very self-serving, very
To talk about.
very selfish in that it strokes the ego like right away. Like you're like, oh look, people are interested in my idea, people like it, people, you know. It's silly though, because it actually robs you of the long-term satisfaction of it.
Well, you need both. You got to have the vision, and then you got to execute it.
True, but that's what we were just saying. Like all these ideas that die on the vine. You know, it's not like these people aren't maybe brilliant in their own right or something. It's just they lack the follow through. Like follow through is so important. Then you have people that are like, oh, I'd kill for a good idea. I'd kill for a vision. I'm so ready to do something, and then they kind of meander around in this like mediocre kind of whatever. And they're like dying for the vision. It's just some people, you know, that's why you see someone who really excels in many areas, maybe like yourself, that is able to like say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become an expert in this field, or at least comfortable enough that I can feel good about, you know, being this public person in this respect and in this role. And then moving from that point forward, like it's, I don't know, it's strange to me. I find ambition's kind of been like the keyword lately for me. Like I've been really dialing in on that so much. Like I was at this art show on Saturday, and you're in the room, and it's all, you know, creative people, all these creative types, and it's probably the kind of place that, you know, someone want to punch someone out because there's just too much creativity in the room, that kind of thing. Someone's just like, oh, these people won't shut up about themselves, kind of thing. But they're actually like all really, really genuinely nice people, really good people. And for a moment, I just sat there like soaking it up. I was just sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, oh, this is good. You could feel it's palatable.
Vibes,
palatable ambition. And you like taking that, because you ever walk into a room and it's like like a warm refrigerator.
Lost plasma just by walking in. Yeah,
like a warm fridge. You walk in and it's just like, you're like, oh, I don't like this. Like you get into a cab, like that's not like, get out of the airport, get into a cab, and you're just jazzed about your trip or going to your trip or getting home, whatever, and you get in the cab, and the cab's just like, you jump in your Uber, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? They just like suck you. It's like
your consciousness goes to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah,
I've had that after class. You go back to your girlfriend, and then she hasn't done class, and she's just like, and it's just, your elevated state is
that's great. Yeah, it's like people feed on, especially because you're like leading, and you have this positive vibe.
Well, that's from practicing. When I'm teaching, I'm working. It's not I don't get as elevated from that. Did it a different way.
Oh, I see.
You're working.
So it's what you do personally.
When I'm practicing, that just gets you into that space.
Yeah. I've been trying a lot lately to not move.
At all.
Just dead to the world.
Yoga Nidra.
Yeah. No, I've been trying to try not to move internally, like emotionally to things. I've been failing really bad lately, I'll admit.
It's a bad time of year to do it.
Yeah,
it's pretty emotional out there right now, I'll tell you that.
Dude, here's a perfect example. I was watching, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but this morning I was doing some emails on the couch, and I threw on sports highlights, and of course, like daytime sports, it's like darts are on or something, right? Dude, so I'm always like, oh, darts, whatever. But as soon as it started, they're chanting, and I recognized one of the chants. So I'm like watching it. And I'm like, don't get moved internally. Don't freak out. Everything's going to be okay. And then I'm watching this guy, and I just started focusing on the announcer. Because every time you get like a max, like 180.
180.
Yeah, he's like...
This man's watching darts.
He's like, one. I was trying to do it after. He's like, 180. I was like, whoa, what the fucking...
I've seriously always wanted to go to Premier League darts.
We should go.
It looks fun.
We should go.
Because everybody's just drinking and getting...
I don't think I'd ever hit 180.
In a big hall watching two really overweight dudes play darts. And it's just like...
It's just like wrestling.
Brilliant.
It's just like wrestling, and we're into it. You know, this is how far I got with it. sitting on the couch after my third attempt at 1-8, like just trying to get into it. I like Google tickets. I'm like, where can I go watch this? You know, like I'm like, oh, maybe Vegas, and it's like, yes, there are
Definitely
Vegas
Vegas.
qualifiers.
Obviously.
I would like to sit with a rowdy table.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't want to
yeah.
sit at a dead energy table where like everyone's like, well, I guess this is pretty fun, but you know.
So you were moved. You were moved.
You were moved or not?
I was
You were moved enough
I'm
to buy
s- I've
tickets.
been, I've been failing all day, guys. I've been trying to say all day. I've
5
been-
minutes later, you're looking at dartboard prices.
Yes.
You're like, how much is a
I think
set
I
of,
can
how
go
much
pro.
is a set of darts? You're like,
I think I could fucking do this. Yeah, just fuck up.
I like that ambition though, man.
Dude, getting 3 triple 20s, whatever the fuck, like the 180, getting that is just so insane. Like Deadeye, like you know how crazy good you have to be to
Yeah.
do that. That's what I'm talking about. It's so easy to dismiss that. Like I was that guy until today.
What I
was
like
"Fuck it,
with
it's
darts
so stupid.
is I've seen like I've watched enough shitty darts, like just darts, that I now try to do that. Because you know they kind of shoot
Oh, like
them.
they're throw.
They kind of flick it, and
yeah.
so when I play darts horrendously, I try that. Does not
not-
really
no,
work.
not
No,
good. It doesn't
but
help. Good.
I try it though.
You ever try to put yourself in the shoes of the guy who's like doing it though? Because like, if someone hasn't watched at home, fucking turn on TV. But like, basically,
Or don't.
or don't. Trust me, you might be moved internally. The idea though that like a room of like fucking 10,000 people sometimes are chanting your name like la, la, la. And you're just like, what the fuck?
I'm throwing darts.
Yeah, I'm throwing darts at this like tiny board. Like the fact that they can even sell out a room doing that, it's amazing.
yeah.
It's, very,
It's like
they,
little archery.
they're wearing all these advertisers like NASCARs. Like they have
But it's
like
for like Jimmy's Pub.
Yeah, it's not Procter and Gamble. It's a little
yeah.
smaller.
It's like Kenny
Slumber,
Slumber
for sure.
here comes Johnny O'Flaherty. You're like, what the fuck? Yeah, these guys. And that's another thing too. So again, still getting so into it. This is what I was talking about earlier. I get into something and I gotta like learn everything about it.
Well, I hope you're moved internally when you read that.
I am gonna be so moved internally. That's why I'm saying like the concentration that comes with doing something like darts is so brand new to me. I'm just like, whatever, just trying to get into. I mean, I played darts in the bar before, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I'm like watching these guys on TV, and I'm like, this is insane. The level of skills you need to be able to do this. So trying to relate that back to the book for a second, the focus and the dedication you've put into this, the overall understanding that you're trying to get across. What is that like? That
I'm trying to build a bridge between shamanism and psychedelic therapy in Hollywood Hospital and as it's happening now. Because there's quite a bit happening now.
what would you say is like the main obstacle right now that's kind of standing in the way of like major progression, like major breakthrough? Terrence McKenna levels of like, oh my god.
I don't think there's any obstacles really because the research is being done. The FDA has approved phase 3 clinical trials for MDMA and
I read that the other day.
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So that once that happens, assuming they can get the numbers they need, then that's it. It's a prescription drug. And
That's going to be crazy when there's going to be people.
There's got to be some pushback though,
Day
right?
tripping.
yeah,
Like
There has
if
been in the
like the
past.
headline of like prescription LSD.
yeah. Well, MDMA.
Oh, MDMA.
Yeah,
MDMA.
yeah.
Even still, like it's like a hot button topic.
Bullshit. Trying to
No, you know
watch
what I mean? Like,
Grateful
people
Dead. This
are,
is
like-
fucked up, you know, like,
Like people are gonna like unfortunately be resistant.
no, here's
Yeah,
your
there
dead mouse
probably will be
tickets.
some, but you know you're dealing with like veterans and cops and.
What about in
firemen.
Canada though?
Yeah, in
Is
Canada
that,
there's a study.
is that already going on or?
Yeah, there's a trial that wrapped up, a really small trial that wrapped up, and I think they're doing another little one here
Oh, nice.
too.
Have you seen any
Yeah.
of the video testimonial online? Have you guys seen any of this stuff?
No.
So these like
I've heard about it as a
yeah, like-
PTSD treatment before.
yeah,
and it
like
seems
these,
very
these
positive.
veterans
Yeah.
coming back that are like, you can't slam a door around them, or they'll go into like a catatonic state and stuff like that. Like just really brutal levels of PTSD,
Terrifying.
and they have a few treatment monitored, supervised sessions under MDMA's influence, and they're repaired. It repairs their neural pathways essentially. Like
Well, they transmodulate, they abreact, they relive the trauma and then process it.
and because the I guess it's not like opiate receptors, but like your like what would the
MDMA works on serotonin and
Right.
dopamine and noradrenaline, so it just puts you into a state of mind where you're calm and can face the trauma from a place of confidence, and you can kind of know that you're in the present time and then have a little bit of the consciousness of the trauma simultaneously.
and then being able to move forward without having any issue. That's
You process it, and then
Right.
like Stanislav Grof divided it into the abreaction, which is like the physiological, emotional barrier that protects the memory, and then reliving the actual narrative, and then integrating it. So there's kind of 3 phases.
why haven't we been doing this like for decades?
The best answer, because I asked Dan Groff's brother that, because I met his brother,
Okay,
Paul
yeah.
Groff, who was a psychiatrist in Ottawa where I used to live. I asked him that, and he said the mind is very powerful and it scares people. So I thought that was that's as good as an answer as I could.
That's good.
Well, you know, Timothy Leary was saying, drop out of society, form your own society, take drugs, start your own religion. You know, it couldn't have been more oppositional and like, revolutionary.
Counterculture,
It was, so that, you know, that created a lot of reaction. Whereas this is more like you go into a clinic at a hospital or a university. You know,
You know, it's almost like stereotypical, but here in British Columbia in Canada, the island, Vancouver Island, is full of these like little communities you just described, where people have like completely gone off the grid, and we have like a sharing system here. None of us identify as any gender.
Well,
You can be whatever gender you want to be. Is that okay? Is that okay? Is that okay? Are you Marcus? Marcus, are you okay with being any gender you want?
Genderlessness?
Yeah, genderlessness.
well, I'm staying here, I guess. But
You're
once I
like-
go home, I
you're
might
like,
go back to it.
I still like Netflix. I mean, like, I don't want to go so off the grid. Like, yeah, no, I hear you though, man. Like the quality of life is just enhanced overall.
But there are
hallucinogens.
some pretty significant risks, and there's some existential things that you would never have to deal with other than with psychedelic drugs.
That's true. What would an example be?
Just having like a difficult experience that has like transpersonal things about God or things about or whatever it is for you.
Like, I'm looking for a specific example.
Well, what Groff did is Czechoslovakia had a massive program, and they actually had, when he left in '67, they had a 17-bed locked ward exclusively for LSD therapy. It was the go-to method for psychiatry in
Where was this?
Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
And they would give it to their patients, and these would be schizophrenics, manic depression, obsessive compulsive, depression, the full range of severe psychiatric disorders.
Wow.
And they would continuously give them LSD. And generally they would experience traumas like we were talking about with MDMA and post-traumatic stress disorder from their lives, and they would process it and they would get a little better, but he would keep going. And then they would sometimes get even worse. And
okay.
the experience would get more elemental and primal and intense. And if he was able to get them through those experiences, the therapeutic benefits were even better.
Oh wow!
So-
Isn't there's some footage of this happening in America, right? Is this like MK Ultra, that kind of
Well,
stuff?
that's MK Ultra was mind control.
It's a little different.
The CIA's.
It's a little
Just
different.
a little different.
Well, there is some overlap in that the first $25 million of investment in psychedelic research was all from the CIA. There was a guy
Makes
called
sense.
Charles Savage who did research with the CIA and also with psychedelic therapy. So it's not completely
right.
separate. Some people think the whole.
Thank you, C-Mart.
I said it's a little
Yeah, you did
different.
say. But then there's people that say the whole psychedelic movement was created by the CIA to distract youth from activism.
What do you think?
I don't think they could come up with something that good. I mean, it's like
Can you
saying
imagine?
it's like saying a committee of bureaucrats wrote Beethoven. You know, it's like no.
Yeah.
Only there's the Beatles. They came up with the Beatles and Aldous Huxley, and
That's a good
something.
analogy. That is a good, like a bureaucrat's writing Beethoven.
No, that's not going to happen that way.
That's good. Is that in the book?
It's not.
Next book.
Yeah, next book.
Next book.
I just thought of that one recently.
So you're just really good at writing, I guess, and it just comes out all the time. That's awesome. Okay.
Not all the time. Just there it did.
I was gonna say that particular institute in Czechoslovakia at the time, has there ever been anything like that in America though?
Yeah. There is the most of the research that's happening now is in the States, and most of the research that's ever happened is in the States.
It's like a dedicated facility.
There was, yeah. In 1969, they opened the Maryland Psychiatric Research Center, and the third floor was to be devoted to psychedelic therapy. And it faded away with all the hysteria and all of that, but.
So it's no longer active.
Well, it's just a psychiatric research center. That I don't know what they do.
Oh. It's not like Haunted on Ghost Adventures or something like that. Is it?
It might be, but it was only made in 1969. So if you want, like Riverview is terrifying. Those Victorian, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, man, Riverview. Yeah, our building we live in now is fairly new, and I don't know. There's, like, our old building was pretty old. And you'd always get like creepy vibes all the time in there. But this new building's too new. Like this, I was trying to say this on the weekend. I'm like, there's no ghosts here. There will never be.
It could be on
like,
a burial ground though.
Maybe, but like there are no ghosts here. Like we will be the ghosts. Like that's how new this place. Like we will be. It's the
pretty
new
pessimistic.
Ghosts,
Well, I think a ghost is somebody that's hanging on to this world for some reason. So as long as you don't do that.
I've been just yelling at walls, like about 2 inches from the wall, trying to imprint sonic imprint, like just scream at the wall.
That's just you normally.
Yeah,
though,
someone
I think.
comes in the room. Like, it's really weird energy in this room. Like, have you been yelling at the walls? You're like, yeah, just trying to imprint the walls with my own vibe.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, that's not my book.
That's why Liz goes to work to leave MD at home.
Yeah,
Gets all yelly.
She's like, well, you have a lot of work to do today.
I'm gonna go to Starbucks.
Okay, so let me ask. The book is available.
December 15th. It ships from Amazon.
December 15th.
Yep.
Today was a couple days before that.
December 5th.
So
It's at Banyan Books too.
here in Vancouver.
Yep.
Which is available. So it's available locally, and it is on. Is it TrineDay?
TrineDay Publishing.
TrineDay Publishing in Oregon.
Yep.
God damn.
Yep. They also publish Chris Bennett's books on Soma, and he's got a few on cannabis. He's an amazing writer too.
And there's ads in, or there's up in our lobby right now here at Float House. So
Urban Shaman.
Clearly, it's all in, fam. It's all fam.
But you're asking about negative experiences, and I was talking about how Stanislav Grof would keep giving them LSD, and they would develop even more elemental. And he divided those into 4 different groups called BPMs, or basic perinatal matrices. And he based them on clinical birth. There's 3 phases of clinical birth and the one prior. So if you got stuck in one of the negative perinatal matrices, that would be a very bad situation.
Like, okay, so that's where you're no longer able to determine reality.
Potentially, if it's really severe, but it's just like a kind of a depression. There's the second phase is when the womb collapses and there's all these noxious chemicals, but the cervix hasn't dilated yet. So it's a kind of a yin or a passive, no exit kind of experience.
Wow.
But then when the cervix dilates, the fetus is involved in a life or death struggle down the birth canal to survive, and then it's an active yang, kind of aggressive. So you have certain psychopathologies associated with blockages in certain matrices there.
Okay.
You don't want to get stuck there, because what happened a lot of times in the 60s is people would take huge amounts of LSD or whatever it was.
Because they're pioneering. Like no one even knows how little or like how much to take, right? Because they're just like, fuck it.
Well, they should have known by then. I mean, it had been around for a while, but they wanted the full on. It's kind of like a bit of a pissing contest. I'm gonna take 1,000 mics of Sandoz, and
Oh my god.
But then
just
they get
people
so
know
like the
that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's a bit.
But in Hollywood Hospital, they were using huge doses of LSD and mescaline together. So like 5 or 10 street hits plus mescaline.
Have we gone over Hollywood Hospital? I'm not actually.
No, I don't think we've talked about it.
I don't think
fully sure what that is.
Maybe
I'm just
you
kind of
could
curious.
enlighten us a little
So
bit.
from 1957 to 1975 in New Westminster, there was a place called Hollywood Hospital. It's no longer there. And actually, the hospital had been there prior to that. But from 57 to 75, it had a clinic devoted exclusively to LSD and mescaline psychotherapy.
Wow.
Yes.
So here in New Westminster in British Columbia.
Yep.
Wow. So it was a dedicated facility?
Well, there was a whole hospital, and then within it there was a specific treatment room.
Okay. Why do they call it Hollywood Hospital?
Because there were holly trees on the lawn.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
It's a little loose.
Yeah, and they did get some famous clients.
Who would?
Andy Williams, the English crooner,
Yeah. Okay.
was one, but I never saw his file, so I think anyone famous, their files were taken out. Ethel Kennedy, supposedly, who was Robert F. Kennedy's wife, I think, who was an alcoholic.
Wow.
But I never saw her.
Allegedly.
File, so that's allegedly.
Allegedly.
But Andy Williams did talk about it later on, so he definitely was there.
Okay. This is on him.
Yeah, this is on you, Andy Williams, and he endorsed it.
Yeah. I'd like to know more. What's the arc of this building? Like, what would?
It was a private hospital. It was one of the last private hospitals, and the reason he was able to keep going so long is because when they started, he ordered 400,000 doses.
400,000.
Yeah, I don't know if he did that intentionally or if it was like an error, but because
A rounding error.
it might have been because it's
Meant to
potent
order
in the
40 or
microgram.
something. He's like, fuck.
Carried the
All
one
these zeros.
decimals in the wrong spot. But because like a quarter milligram, like if you like a dose of Prozac is 20 milligrams, but a tenth of 1 milligram of LSD is a dose.
A tenth of 1 milligram. Wow.
Really?
It's very potent. And
Wow.
that's why it was so like the yippies at one point said they were going to put it in the water supply in Chicago around the Democratic Convention.
Yeah.
They had soldiers lining the water supply to make sure that they didn't do this, even though it was neutralized by iron. They couldn't actually do that.
I've actually wondered why that's never happened. Like, has that ever like?
I'm sure there's a way to do it. You couldn't use LSD, but I'm sure there's some kind of chemistry where you could get something into the
You'd
water
have to
supply.
get to the water supply,
Like,
though.
there's like
Yeah.
I don't know how easy or difficult that is, but I don't think that's like walk into the sewer.
like in our building.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you could just like get in there.
Like I don't know, like in our building, there's a little waterfall kind of aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
And I was there for like a week, and I was already like, man, you could easily just throw some food coloring in there. Boom, game time. Be over. Like you'd have to shut the whole thing down. And I was there a week, so the fact that there was like active threats
That's going to be isolated
back in the
from
60s, 70s.
That's going to be a closed system, though.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a water engineer. Okay, I'm just the guy with a
None of us
stupid
are.
idea.
We're just trying to talk reason to you.
Don't destroy public property with your stupid ideas. Yeah, I was aware.
Well, the Army had something they called BZ. We call it BZ, and it was an aerosol hallucinogen that would last for like 3 days that they would spray on the soldiers.
Hold on,
Interesting.
like chemtrails, like crop dusting.
Well, it's a hallucinogen that they would spray in an aerosol, so they'd fly it right into the enemy territory and just.
What era would this have been?
This would have been 50s, 60s. They supposedly use it in the Iraq War. They supposedly use it in Vietnam. I don't know if they.
With planes possibly sold by Freg.
No, not military planes. He sold private planes. And then he read about LSD and he said, "You want to buy the business? Because I'm moving."
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah, I'm in aeronautics now. I sell.
Well, he was a pilot and an entrepreneur. He wasn't like an area space engineer. But he was licensed in 60 different craft
Wow.
to fly in boats and.
You need quite a few hours to do that, right?
Yep, I guess so. He was a flight engineer at the end.
What was the name of that stuff? The aerosol.
BZ?
BZ.
BZ. Yeah.
BZ. Was that ever like a recreational drug at some point? Like someone's huffing cans of BZ?
I doubt it would be something very popular because it was designed as a weapon. But I never heard about that.
Someone's like, yeah, just take a couple of hits of this. We're gonna go, beat up this guy or something. I don't know.
Well, there's one story where this guy Hank Ketchum, who did a lot of research on psychoactives for the Army, and he comes into his office and there's a barrel of LSD. And nobody says anything about it, and then he comes back later, and it's gone. And
That's the MK Ultra one, right?
yeah. Well,
He's
that
like,
was
he just saw a barrel, didn't know what it
Yeah.
was.
Well,
and then it just left.
disappeared. Yeah. So
What? Really?
who knows what they did?
Yeah.
They bought up all the LSD. They had Eli Lilly come up with their own formulation to make it, and then Sandoz discontinued it because of all the controversy. But he already had.
It's a crazy
400,000
story,
doses.
400,000
Yeah,
doses.
I think so.
Jesus Christ.
And they only used like 1,000 or so.
It's so crazy that like the military, you obviously, this is where a lot of these things kind of start, especially as they're trying to figure out weapons or like fucking mind control or whatever. But it's like you join the Army and you're like, well, obviously someone could shoot me. right? That's a possibility. Or I could get killed in some
Certainly.
combat scenario.
That's the
but
risk.
also, you're kind of signing up for like strange experimental shit that you can't even fucking imagine.
No.
You know what I mean?
Can you
And
opt
it's just
out
an
of
odd.
it, or is it like...
Yeah, it's not like you're just in it, but like, you know,
I
even
think
when
you
they're testing
can, but
nuclear
it's
weapons, like
Probably
they're
not
like,
a good idea.
if they're
they're
like-
like putting you near nuclear explosions, like
Sure, yeah.
just to
that's
see,
true,
right?
yeah.
Like, well, fuck.
People with,
like, do they all die instantly, or
with
like I don't know?
Finger tan lines over their eyes where they cover their eyes at like...
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's pretty bright. It's just burns
Like
them
you're dead in
forever.
a few days.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just interesting that you don't always think of that aspect of the military.
No, like, that's... I wonder what the opt-in policy, opt-out... Because, like, are they like, are you right-handed, left-handed? You're like, I'm right-handed. They're like, your left hand's now a gun. You're like, what the fuck? Just, like, chop your
Mega
hand
Man?
off. Yeah, like, yeah, just... this is the Mega Man project. And,
Most of them would probably be like, cool.
Let's do it.
Oh, it's a 22.
Oh, I gotta get a robotic dog. Yeah, I'm in. Fuck yeah.
You'd be our first robotic canine.
But I think it didn't work that well as a weapon because it's unpredictable and you don't really. It's
Well, I
easy
mean,
to make somebody go
yeah.
crazy. It's hard to make them crazy exactly as you want.
That's true, because crazy for some people might just be like they just kind
Also,
of
environmental
drool on
shit
themselves.
is a problem, right? Like mustard gas was a pretty swingy thing.
Yeah,
you know,
'cause
if the
wind
winds
can
weren't in
change.
your favor,
Yeah, that's right.
you might
Yeah, it was
kill
useless,
yourself, or
That's
it has
very
no
true.
effect.
Yeah, that's very
So
true.
it's like any airborne thing, unless like it had to be very, I don't know, military expert over here.
is that like against the Geneva Convention stuff now? Do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it's more humane because you go in and people have a 3-day trip and then you take everything and then nobody gets killed. That was like Hank Ketcham's
the
way of
theory.
rationalizing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
But it just didn't really. It doesn't really play out very well.
No,
Like,
it's like
logistically.
we're gonna crop dust you in the trench here.
Plus, you'd have to like what if someone was underground or in some sort of place where they wouldn't have the outside air circulated in? Like, there's a lot of variables.
right. They're gonna come
You know what
out
I mean?
to these like basically
Like
the
even if you
purge.
hit, 50% of people, say, you still have everyone else who isn't affected by it.
They're still going to come and
That's
shoot
true.
you. Well, there's footage on YouTube of them giving whole troops LSD.
That's what kind of what I was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
Like I've seen footage online where I don't know what you call it in the military, but when they make them line up like one arm length apart, like fist apart, whatever, and they're all trying to do it, and they're all just like falling over, like laughing, like just insane stuff. And when they isolate them in the rooms, have you seen that stuff?
No.
And they're like, some of them are like literally sprinting back and forth between like a little 8x6 cell or whatever, basically trying to run, not understanding the long term like the distance that they're going through. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, there's one early researcher. He worked a lot on prisoners, and they used a lot of morphine and heroin addicts in Kentucky, and he was giving them LSD, mescaline, other psychoactives, and somebody said, "Well, what if they want to do it again?" He said, "Nobody wants to do it again."
They were dead.
So when people first started talking about people taking this stuff for fun, they were like, "They're not going to do that. It's too intense. They're not going to like it."
Underestimates people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or overestimates
Big time.
someone.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But also, as like you can see in Hollywood Hospital, when the younger clients came in, they kind of went with it more.
Yeah, I see.
You could see that it was changing.
Yeah, definitely. It's man, it's so much to cover. I don't even know if we barely even scratched a little.
You
bit
know
of
that
the
there was
surface.
one old guy in that room that was like, "Can I get a little bit of that?"
Yeah, can I get a little bit of that? Just a
Well,
little bit
their
more.
flagship.
Shut up, man.
Their flagship client that they wrote up in the papers was 75 when he had
Wow.
his trip. Yeah,
Was that the quote I read?
that was the
earlier
quote
off
you
the-
read.
off
Yeah,
the air? Yeah.
he's that was in like 57 or 59 or something like that.
Wow. See that? I mean, you imagine being 75, living your whole life, literally in zero drug landscape, essentially, and then
Probably smoke some weed.
I mean, even
I don't think so. Not in the 50s.
I don't think so. Yeah,
if
not-
you're, if you're in your
Alright.
70s and the 50s, even
Okay,
in
yeah.
BC.
maybe if you were in a jazz band.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if you're in a jazz band, definitely.
Yeah, but like it what must have been such a crazy thing to pioneer that. Like think about someone you know right now who's 75 or older or whatever in that area, and them just being like, I'm gonna start doing LSD. What?
It's not a bad time to start, I think, if you think about it.
I mean, you'd have It depends.
Why not? Fuck it.
Well, you have
Yeah.
to unravel 75 years of propaganda of people saying like it's so awful for you and all this stuff, right?
You might not think that, but
might not,
you're
yeah.
sort of used to how the world is by 75.
True.
But this guy was having hallucinations and he wasn't eating and he was a very severe psychiatric patient.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's fucking. And those particular sessions, like those trials with that took place at Hollywood Hospital here
Hollywood
in
Hospital. Yep.
New Westminster.
Yep.
Man, so much history in this area. The tagline you have on this book: 100,000 years of drugs, 100 years of prohibition. It seriously doesn't even begin to like scratch.
My original was towards an integral psychedelic theory. But that's not very good.
The number.
bit
And then you're like,
pedantic.
publishers like, I think we're gonna go with the numbers.
I like this one.
Shamanic Graffiti is available December 15th
Yep.
on Amazon
Yep.
and also in local bookstore. What was the name of that?
Banyan Books.
Banyan Books here
Yep.
in Vancouver, British Columbia.
The first store to order something.
Yeah,
was like that.
absolutely. And I just can't wait to dive into this, man. This is going to be so awesome. Today's been really cool. I think that we didn't even really scratch the surface, though. You'll have to come back and join us.
I'd love to.
Friend of the show status. Anytime you like. We really appreciate that. How can people follow you online if they wanted to do so?
Mark Rummery on Facebook, the Rummery on Twitter.
The Rummery.
Yeah.
Nice. Saavedra's going to like telling you his handle here in a second.
Very good.
Yeah. The Rummery. Nice. That's good. Saavedra, how can people follow you online if they
Oh, you
want
follow
to?
me at the Saavedra.
Nice job.
That's good. I like the way this is going. C-Mart, if people are so inclined to follow you, should they?
Not a thing.
It's not a thing. Not a thing to do.
Incognito.
Hilarious. He does actually mean you should follow
Boomsday Alliance.
Yeah, Boomsday Alliance
Twitter.
on
Instagram.
on internet, on Instagram.
Internet.
Boomsday_Alliance. That's what you want to check out. It's growing every day, and there's new news every day. So if you like that stuff, you'll love it. If you want to follow the podcast, please do so by going to intergalacticinterviews.com. You can also reach us on iTunes and YouTube and Stitcher and SoundCloud, and we're everywhere. Just type in Intergalactic Interviews. We're the only ones. We are not the Beastie Boys. It is not Intergalactic, the single from 1997. It is, in fact, Intergalactic Interviews.
Is
Check
that
us
the proper
out.
year?
I really like your music. You know, I had no idea you were on MTV. Nope, not. You're looking at the wrong one, Grandma. You're looking at the wrong one. Intergalactic Interviews. We are very grateful to have you guys tune in each week with us and listen to the show. And a big thanks again to our sponsor, Floathouse. Go to floathouse.ca. Check out our podcast promo code II Podcast. Get 20% off your next
20%.
float. Man, since we have introduced so many people to floating, I can't tell you, every week it's so nice to see someone else try it out and check it out. It's awesome. I love it. And make sure you guys go check out Shamanic Graffiti. Oh my God, so good. Marcus Rummery, you're a friend of the show. I'm going to seriously jump in on this on the way home. I'm not even going to wait. I'm going to jump into it. But thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you all next
Thanks for
week.
having me.
Oh, thanks for coming, man. Any fucking time you can come.
It's fun.
Thanks, man.
For sure. Cheers.
All right, see you guys next week. Bye.